Hello everyone, and welcome to Factor.gg's free agency show presented by Coinbase. We're going to talk about League of Legends free agency, which is right around the corner, and breaking down all your favorite league teams and players stat by stat. Let's do this. Quick introductions, I'm Magical, and I'm joined with Crumbz, and Kobe here on our desk. And why don't we go right into things? Why don't we just skip right into it? Kobe, we'll start off with you. You've been playing League since its beta days, and that can only mean one thing, right?
What's that?
Well, it either means that you've been through the most free agencies of anyone
True.
on the periods, or, you're old.
Well, it is true. I have been through every single free agency. I've been in the league since the very beginning. Every single one is exciting for a different reason. I feel like I always get a bit hyped.
Yeah, I mean, it's always exciting. I think it's one of the fun periods of League of Legends where everyone can speculate. They can come up with different ideas of what's going to go on and how you might want to create your own rosters and everything. But it's just one of those things that you just kind of have to deal with.
Yeah, I think this year specifically is also super exciting because of, Bjergsen being reintroduced into the pool. So we have a new injection of some really hype talent coming back. And then you look at the domino effect. Okay, if Bjergsen is coming back and rumors are to Team Liquid, then where does Jensen go? And there are all these buyouts that are being shifted around. So fans really want to see the best players and all these teams, built up into super teams. But how it all shakes out in the end, there's so many backroom deals that have to go down.
Right, and something cool for me to see is that obviously when we first started playing, we didn't have buyouts, right? Like the salary was pretty small back in the day. I'm all for the players making more money. I see these massive deals where they're signing like $6 million for 3 years. I'm like, hell yeah, would that have been nice? I got it, sure. But I'm super supportive of these guys. Like, I want them to do well. They don't get to play forever, so like, sign those checks.
That's a huge part, that you don't get to play forever. Because I remember, I don't know how it was for you in free agency before. If you don't get a deal, you're retiring. Like you can't afford to take a year off a lot of the time. I mean, the salaries now are large enough that you can do that. So like Bjergsen can do that. But Jensen, where does he go? We're not going to lose Jensen if no one signs him. We could, but that's something I don't want to see happen.
I mean, we also had the drama between Double Lift and TSM already spilling over into his stream. So about the retiring, you're right.
Well, see, I'm kind of glad you guys were already bringing up like your past as professionals and how that really happened with all of you and your experiences there, because it kind of helps build up significant roster changes that we can see for the future and what we can expect. So let's go over to you, Crumbz, and talk about your past experiences with the offseason itself and how that really has formed how you are today.
Wow. I mean, the thing is, a lot of these deals, or at least the inklings towards it, are happening since the start of the year pretty much, right? You're talking to other teams, you're talking to your players, you're figuring out how it plays out. And then it just comes down to putting it actually on ink. Does it actually pan out the way it was verbally agreed? I have found that not really. Like, a lot of the times verbal contracts don't mean anything, and some players can be surprised. So what I will say for this offseason, until it is confirmed by the sources themselves, it's speculation.
And get an agent you trust.
And read those contracts.
Or get a lawyer to read the contract.
Yeah.
If you read it, you might not understand, but hire someone that does so they can explain to you what this means.
Trust that guy. Make sure he's not working for somebody else.
Yeah, and you can relate easily for this. I mean, you guys already were talking about how you relate to all this as a former free agent and how the negotiations can work. I'm glad you even mentioned getting a lawyer and having them look over the contracts instead of having you, because it can get really confusing fast.
Right, well, I wasn't ever actually in free agency for that long. I think there's only ever like one period where I ever was, right before Golden Guardians. Before then, I've always been with Cloud9, leaving Cloud9 and go to FlyQuest. That was a predetermined thing. I knew that was happening. We made a conscious decision to leave the main roster to make another team to qualify in. So like, I've never had the free agency period except for one time. And during that free agency period, it was pretty much determined right away what I was going to do too. So like, I've never been in the boat where I was like worried about, shit, do I have a position next year? I've always had one. So I don't have the anxiety that the other people had, but I definitely understand and feel their pain. if you're out there as a free agent, do the due diligence of one, getting a lawyer or an agent or both, and put in some effort for your resume. Whatever it may be, you are looking for a job, right? We're not 17-year-olds, even 17-year-olds, 15-year-olds, when you're getting your first job at Taco Bell. That's where I worked before. You need a resume for that kind of stuff, you know? Do the very least, make one. It doesn't take long.
But you know what a resume for League, though, is? It's a highlight reel. You need an editor. You need to actually show your plays. Because I remember Ryoma. When Ryoma came in, I was hyped because he had a really cool highlight reel. I was like, whoa, look at the Yasuo plays. Didn't play Yasuo a single LCS game, but it was a good highlight.
Right.
Yeah.
You can reach me at my
LFT at Gmail address.
Appreciate it.
But we do need to remind everyone there are rules for free agency. 3 of them, in fact. The first one, players cannot sign new contracts before 4 p.m. on November 15th. The second one, players that are typically eligible to talk with other teams have to have their contracts expiring that same year. And 3, if permitted by their teams, they can explore other options if their contract is expiring in another year. So those are the 3 rules that we have to keep in mind when looking at free agency and how it's all going to be. But also, free agency is only one aspect of this show. The other is that this is factor.gg. It is all LOL, all data, all the time. If you don't know what that is, you're about to find out. Let's roll that video.
League of Legends, a game where there's always a lot happening across the rift at any moment. Who secured first blood in a match? What's the goal difference between teams? When did the first tower fall? It's all hard to keep track, but with the right tool, it doesn't have to be. Introducing Factor, your go-to source for pro League of Legends stats, insights, and predictions. So, how is it you can keep track with all this in-depth data using Factor? Search for all region pro matchups and discover game information at a glance, featuring playback controls that allow you to pick and choose which sections of the match you want to explore. And find that exact moment that marks an iconic League of Legends play. Maybe you're more interested in a team's performance across the season. With a simple click, you can visit their team page and find comprehensive team stats, check out who leads the team in high scores, explore all recent and upcoming matches. You can even get quick roster info or just jump into a player's profile. Here, you can learn more about each player's statistical averages across their professional career. Dive into their champion pools and see the pick rate, number of games, and win rates. Or, if you're feeling a little cheeky, see how they rank against others on, let's say, how frequently they die needlessly to tier 2 towers. You can find it all here on Factor. Don't know where to start? Our homepage has Factor articles which provide coverage on everything from player comparisons to champion revamps. You have access to upcoming and post-match reports. We factor win probabilities for you on matches across the world. Our proprietary ranking system, Power, also cuts out the guesswork and gives you precise regional standings and shows you who's on top with data-driven leaderboards. Whether you're a pro looking to find that competitive edge or a curious fan seeking more, Factor provides you with an endless supply of League of Legends stats, insights, and predictions. Data-driven, timely, unbiased. That's Factor.
Next up, let's check out how our analysts do against Factor.gg with a look back at last year's top gainers and losers. Let's start off with an easy one. After last year's free agency, what team do you think was the biggest loser? In other words, what team roster do you think did the worst or gained the least statistically?
CLG. I think they just lost everywhere. They have to have a loss in the stats too.
Okay, so before you commit to the answer, think about this, right? To go from 10th to 10th, are they really losing? Like how much can you drop when you're already at the bottom?
On the floor.
Right? So like how far much, you can't go any down.
You're kicking them when they're down.
Yeah. Although I also.
What's your answer? I have my answer, and
I'm choosing CLG too, just because with the way these things work is that, you know, if you're at the bottom, you're still going to be at the bottom. Like,
there's no way that it is CLG. Biggest loser has to be FlyQuest or Factor is trolling. FlyQuest literally went from, in 2020, back-to-back finals to 7th place, 8th place in 2021. If it's not FlyQuest, then...
They didn't even make playoffs when 8
They lost their whole roster.
Honestly, I agree with you.
That's a really good one.
It is a good one. I will say that is definitely a good one. But I do also feel like you might be a little biased. You know, CLG, you don't want to go on the hate train there. But I have some bad news for you. These two are right.
There's no
Was
way.
CLG, because they went from 8th place in 2020 to 10th place, and still then they lost even further.
FlyQuest went from back-to-back finals to
So he's saying
7th
the
place.
drop from 8th to 10th is steeper and
It
more
was still
treacherous
steeper.
than from 2nd place to
It was
8th.
It was still worse. It was still worse
Okay.
statistically just going that. But that's why I know, unfortunately, I had to go against you. But let's move forward. Let's go on to our top gainers. Which team made the best gain statistically to create the strongest team going into 2020?
Well, it has to be 100 Thieves, right? They won
literally-
for the first time ever. They stole an entire roster plus one import player. So if they went from like what, six,
It
seven?
was 7th place up to 1st place.
Yeah.
So that was also my answer. But I thought I was for sure.
I was about to say, but Kobe had a really good launch
So-
with that one, and you might be
I have a backup one then.
Oh.
So if it's not 100 Thieves, then there is a chance that it's Dignitas, because Dignitas actually made a really good run before they made their Soligo Yusui swap back, and they kind of messed it up themselves.
I got another one.
Okay.
Cloud9. They went to Worlds. They did win Spring, and they have consistently really high placement. So I think as an average, they did better in the whole year than 100 Thieves.
So you're locking in Cloud9.
Yeah.
Hi, you got 100 Thieves. Kobe, I need you to lock
I
in.
mean, I think it should be 100 Thieves,
But you got to lock in.
but I'll go Dig so we spread it out.
You can just join my team and be right. How about that?
So 100 Thieves, Dig, and Cloud9. Well, only one of you is right. It is going to be 100 Thieves. They went from 7th in 2020 and to 2nd and then 1st place. You know, it's too good of finishes.
Yeah.
They just.
Much like going from finals to...
Hey, I'm not going to disagree with you that that's definitely a big loss, but at the same time, it's just also just depends on how you do with the stats. How the stats work are a mystery only known by Factor.gg. But now let's move on to our single biggest player move. Which player do you think was
This one's hard.
This one is.
I got to go back to Cloud9 again. Perks, I think bringing him from LEC, I'm not sure if Factor is counting the LEC as well in their statistics, but this guy was the top of Europe, and coming here still had decent results. I just haven't seen a player of such large caliber come into the LCS before.
In terms of like big names joining, I agree with you, but the dude definitely
Did not
shit the
deliver.
bed for a large portion of the split and season. He kind of what's the term, sandbagging, I believe is what it's called. He's definitely sandbagging for quite a long time. So his stats are not going to look good. I guarantee you, stats are important in this. So I have to get something off my chest. I feel like I saw the answers to these questions earlier today. That's why I'm 2 out of 2 so far. And I feel like I know the answer for this next one too. So I'm gonna let you go first. And
Okay.
I'm not purposely cheating.
Well, I was going to go...
Yeah.
I think I know the answer.
Since I was going to go with an Evil Geniuses player. And so I was actually going to choose Impact, because Impact has had really good stats. Danny made really good individual plays, but his lane phase was pretty poor, so he's not going to have the best stats. So I think it's Impact, even though Jizuke was an important part for the
His
team
laning
too.
stats are really good.
I'll go with Impact.
Right. This is why I'm not sure if I'm cheating or not. I think the answer is Jizuke. I think that's what I saw. But it was like 6 a.m. in the morning. So like I half saw what it said, half didn't. So I think that's the answer. If I'm right, then that means I definitely did cheat. If I'm wrong, then it's like I was just hallucinating in my dream. I don't know.
All right, what is it?
All right, well, Factor says it was Perks. A huge contract.
I'm not cheating.
Alfari was another one, because Alfari was one of the biggest import moves. And then Danny, Rookie of the Year, Impact, Closer, and Abadage. Those were, I would accept those ones. So I'll give you Impact over there, because he made second All-Pro. So unfortunately, Jizuke was not on there.
So that just means I'm not cheating then.
He didn't
It's just, I guess I dreamed or something. I don't know.
Or you just submitted a fake
Or he's just a...
But then why would I admit to cheating if I, you know?
He could be a really
Come on.
intelligent cheater here and thinking, I shouldn't get 100% on the test, or it'll look like I'm cheating. I'll get
So I
2
get
out of 3.
66.7
Yeah.
instead.
That's
Genius.
still not a passing grade.
Yeah, it is.
66 point, I guess.
You passed with a 60%. I've passed with 60% since high school before.
See, I never passed.
There's a weird curve going on here.
What?
That's passing.
I mean, if we're curving it and we're actually going to give the points out, that leaves us with only 1 point for you, Kobe. Sorry.
I'll take it.
That's going to be 2 points for Crumbz and 2 points for High, which means that if we curve it, they're going to be at the top of the class. You're still at the bottom.
I did know that it was 100 Thieves, though. So
Yeah, you did. It's like you did say that and then changed your answer. You would have been, you would have all tied at 2 apiece had you done that. But you know what? Still losing out. out to factor.gg because, the stats don't lie. It's also easy when you have a little algorithm that you can use for all these stats and get all that going for you. And it's easy peasy. Y'all lost, sorry. 3-2 to 2-1.
That's just what happens when you watch so much league. You get in tune with the statistics. So the Factor GG stats really help you paint the story that we can kind of pick up from just watching.
Yeah, true. You know what? Now that we're all prepped and ready, let's talk about what's ahead for free agency in this year.
All right, well, let's go over the ground rules first. Remember, you can only have 2 imports not from North America. We have also added the oceanic players as non-imports. Plus, some more players are getting residency, like Core JJ. So, super big pivotal spot there for Team Liquid to make some more moves.
Really important because Team Liquid loves to spend on big name imports, and that would free up another slot because there's some still NA players on TL that you could get rid of. Oh, tactical.
Every offseason, I just hear Steve's going crazy. Steve's going crazy. Spending money.
Right, let's bring up a graphic so that you can all get a reminder of who is on each team. There are 10 teams, 5 players on each team. For people that don't know, that's a lot of names, to be honest. If we were to do a pop quiz, if I could name all 50 players, I could not. So we have it up here, and then we should take a look at who's actually becoming a free agent this offseason.
That's what we're going to see right now. You can take a look at the names in blue. These are the free agents right now, and there's some really exciting ones. There's also some players that aren't quite free agents, but have already expressed that they will not be re-signing, which means that they're either in some buyout or maybe some under-the-table deals between teams that can free up these players and bring them to the LCS.
I'm definitely not biased when I look at mid lane only. There's a lot of people opening up there. I'm really excited to see some of these players, to see where they're going to go. And obviously the jungle, once again, I'm not biased at all. I'm really excited to see if something happens to Broxa, Bjergsen, Power of Evil, Jensen.
Yeah. There's a lot of teams that despite not having a buyout or being free agent, they should completely be on the market. I don't think these teams will pick them up again, so there's going to be a lot of people available this season.
Yeah, definitely Bjergsen unretiring is shaking up everything in mid for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's all fun to speculate, but we got to hear a word from our sponsor, Coinbase. Stick around. We'll be right back. Let's get into the bread and butter of all this free agency talk. Which player are you most excited to see move in the offseason?
Bjergsen, it's got to be him. He's one of the biggest stars in the LCS.
The biggest.
There you go. The biggest. He's won so much. MVP titles across the board. Everybody loves to play with him. And he just announced his return, not to TSM, and he could be kicking out Jensen out of TL to take a spot in the LCS again.
Where the rumors currently stand, he's going to probably be moving Jensen out, and he's going to be playing for Team Liquid. But it's crazy how big of an impact on the whole ecosystem that's going to have with Bjergsen coming in and, moving everything around. I think that individually, Bjergsen, everybody wanted to snatch him up, right? Because that not only does he have the biggest fan base, but he's also going to give you that North American, already resident mid lane powerhouse, which is so rare, so hard to come by.
Right. I think it's just so telling that the dude literally retires, goes coaching for a year, unannounces his retirement.
I don't like coaching.
And then he's the most popular player in the offseason by like a large amount. Like every team wants him. No team would say no to him. It's just like, that's so telling of how good of a player he is. And I don't think I've ever seen a single teammate say something bad about him either, right?
I was watching a stream of his where something interesting about this came up where he was playing and he kept saying, well, as a coach, how would I feel when I watch my own players and think I could outplay the situations that they're in so easily? I play against
That's
them
what people were worried about when he was announced as a coach. Everyone was like, whoa, is he just going to step in?
You're still too good, right? So like he's aging as a person and he's realizing I should just play to my strengths. And it turns out I'm still a top player in the world in the LCS, by far one of the best. And might as well play to it. Let's go back.
Right, and it's not like he's watching a rookie mid laner mess up his lane too. He's watching Power Evil, one of the better mid laners in our region at the moment, and he's like, I can do it better than you. It's just like, all right, let's see it. And he will. So
Yeah. I mean, it's actually going to be really interesting too, because now you have to think about the Jensen rumors and him going on stream and talking about, well, I might not even play for anybody because you don't want to play for a bottom team.
Yeah. That's the thing though, because Bjergsen, everybody tried to snatch him up. Not everybody can. Same thing with Jensen, right? Seemingly a great player, but he also can choose like, hey, I don't want to play with these orgs. Bjergsen gets to choose the org he wants with all these top players. If Jensen doesn't have that situation, well, to see these players not stay in the LCS or even not have a year would be a disaster.
Right. I think something super cool that is pivoting away from the mid lane actually is talking a little about Alphari. I'm being told today and through some rumors that Alphari may or may not be leaving the EU. And in my mind, I think that's such a travesty for us because he's been the best top laner in a very long time that has ever come to NA and played at NA. Yeah. He consistently dominates lane phase and actually knows how to play lane. I think that's something so important that NA needs to get better at. Like, I hardly ever see us just destroying the enemy counter lane part at Worlds. Like, does Chovy get shit on by us? Not too often. What about bot lane, etc.? You know, like, I want more people to dominate lane and transition that into late game rather than just playing for like team fighting and stuff like that, because we already lose that, right? Let's start from the basics.
I actually do appreciate though that he's going back to Europe, because it felt to me like there was just no culture fit for Alphari. I don't think he liked in North America, and I would have seen a career that he could have just stayed.
They couldn't keep up with his laning pace.
He could stay in LCS for longer and longer, but if it just gets worse and he's just collecting money that way, then that's a slot that could have been used for somebody that maybe wants to stay here and develop their career.
So that's a move that you're excited to see him leaving?
Yeah, that's why I keep excited for that.
I'm sad about it, so it's like the other side of excitement, right? It's kind of, it's like my feelings are excited just the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know?
I can give you a little context. Maybe it's more bittersweet because you're sad that Alphari's leaving, but for me, I'm actually kind of excited because that might mean Jenkins, who's the academy top laner for Team Liquid, would then get a chance to move up to the LCS. And this is a player that I've had my eyes on for a while. I've been casting a lot of the academy scene, and I've seen him dominate. His Kennen, obviously, he was one trick for a long time, but he's been able to grow out of that and play a lot of other champions really well. His Gangplank especially is something that we got to see in LCS briefly when he stepped up for Alphari. So I'm kind of excited. It's the bittersweetness of it. We lose Alphari, but maybe we gain someone like Jenkins.
I don't think you can get more bang for such little buck than with Jenkins right now. A lot of people are trying to rebuild top laner, a guy that practiced a lot against Alphari. Nobody else has that experience now, and he did really well. So everybody that's trying to rebuild that can't get their hands on a Bjergsen, a Jensen, or a Doublet, well, if you're not shooting for number one, you can cheaply stay middle of the pack, maybe even a little further up with a guy like Jenkins.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of academy players worth looking at. Yeah, and you mentioned Jenkins. He definitely got a lot of hype for the LCS games that he subbed in. I think he played quite well.
I think something important to realize, or for people to think about, is that there isn't anything wrong inherently with having an import, right? Like, people move to America in the first place to be immigrants, to get jobs here, to make a living here. For example, Bjergsen, right? I consider him NA at this point. He has his green card. He's been here for 8 years. He's played in the LCS longer than pretty much almost every active player at the moment. So, like, I'm 100% on board for imports for people that actually want to make NA their home and represent NA and be like, represent our region, you know? I don't like the ones that are just here for a year, are just here for a paycheck. And it's hard to distinguish between the two. So yes, I want to see more amateur players, academy players move up, but I'm not opposed to imports either, because America is about immigrants, right? I mean, like, that's how we were founded.
That's why we have the residency rule for them to be able to gain residency in some way. I think Core JJ is another example to always point to. Yeah. He does so much for the region.
Yeah, he does.
He puts so much work into trying to make North America better that I think, you know, so many people will for sure consider him.
Yeah, but you know, we kind of got, we went on a lot of tangents there, and I actually like that, but I kind of want to try to see if we can bring this conversation into some more interesting points. One being players that we could see really shake up the entire environment just by their moves and the rumors we've heard around them. Which market movers and which decisions do you think will be crucial to cause other dominoes to fall?
Like Bjergsen, which we already talked about.
We already got Bjergsen, but I want to get outside of just Bjergsen.
Yeah, you were off in Europe, so there must be a bunch of EU moves that you're thinking that could really shake things up here.
Well, I was actually super excited for specifically Hansama because, you know, with multiple rogue players being rumored to come over, his performance was so eye-catching at Worlds. A lot of the, you know, movement, as well as some of these outplays on bottom side of the map, even when the team is losing. So I was super hyped for a lot of these AD carries. Hansama, Reckless was also rumored, having trouble with the G2 possible buyout.
Yeah.
There's so much possibility there. Doggo as well, as far as international ones, played in the PCS, subbed in last year for Worlds, did extremely well, and played this year for BYG. When you get into those, though, sometimes you also have to worry about communication.
Right.
And so, speaking English at a conversational level, I think is incredibly important for all the teams. And they're not really willing to.
What if I toss in one for you? Because we have Yerson still in Academy on TSM Academy. What if they brought in Doggo and Yerson?
I mean, that's an option.
What's exciting is that all these are AD carries. And these are AD carry players that are coming over to LCS that are all very good in their regards. You could add Double Lift to that mix. If he sees an eye-catching roster of AD carries could be coming back, and we could have an incredibly stacked AD carry lineup for this year.
Yeah. The problem is that it sounds like so many of these players don't want to be on a bad team, basically.
Someone's got to be on these teams.
Someone's got to win. Someone's got to lose. That's how it works.
And if you have enough, strong players looking to play but not wanting to, be on a bottom team, then they need to join forces.
Yeah.
I mean, just having 5 strong players generally is a good thing, right? But then egos come into play, communication comes into play. You're going to have 5 good players, but if they don't have heads, they're not going to go anywhere in the game, right? You need some kind of leader too. And if you're going to bring in all these veterans from different regions, different rosters, it's going to be hard to find that one person that they're going to listen to. I don't know how shot calling and gameplay has developed over time. I know it's more democratic nowadays, more than having one person. But even then, if you have 5 people trying to make a call, how do you decide who to listen to, right? It helps to have some kind of leader, and it's harder for these older players to have a leader that they look up to, right? Say, for example, we're bringing up Double Lift, right? He's a great player. Will he also feel the same way about everyone else? Clearly not, due to the fact that he said no to certain rosters, right? So you have to find a roster that he agrees with and that he'd listen to. And that applies to almost all these different players coming here. Hansama, how is he in a team environment? We know he performed a lot at Worlds. We know he performed well in EU. But does that transition to being a good teammate? We don't actually know that, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting one because the Team Liquid rumors, it sounds like that is one of the teams that would be most packed.
Yeah.
Because Bjergsen has a very strong opinion of how to play the game. Coming off being a coach, Core JJ has an extremely strong opinion of how to play the game. I think that also the work ethic of those players is going to go a long way and probably, align them. And then the rumor of bringing Bwipo into that team too.
I'm getting excited.
Adds so much with
that's a stacked roster.
I was excited for the first 2, and then I heard Bwipo, but he's going top, wouldn't he? If you were to join Team Liquid, I'm not that excited about that. He spent the past year playing jungle.
But he was good.
Jungle's not top lane, to be fair. And yes, Bjergsen's coming off a year of not playing the game.
Yeah.
Come back to it. Fine.
Okay.
But I guess there's not many.
So Bwipo was good in top, showed that he could learn quickly, which was very impressive. And then being able to go back to top, I don't see how it's going to be that bad for him.
Also, who would you rather have play jungle, Bwipo or Santorin?
I mean, I'd definitely choose Santorin.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I'm okay with putting him back top lane and bringing over Bwipo as long as he's serviceable. You already have a stacked roster everywhere else. All he has to do is just make sure that he holds his own in top.
Speaking of junglers, I know a few other ones that are going to be free agents. One, Santorin is becoming a free agent. I hope he resigns with Team Liquid. Although there is the concern of his health issues. Yes, he's a talented player, but they had to sub him out for 2-3 weeks at the end of the year. And if that's going to be a consistent problem, his health issues actually might be detrimental enough to have him not be on a team. And outside of those issues, we still have players like Broxah that came here. He had, unfortunately, his time at CLG was not very great. We don't know if he's going to stick around again. I like the guy a lot. He's a great team player. Whether his mechanics are as good as other junglers, I'm not sure, but he's a great teammate from what I've seen. And then we also have people like Dardak saying he wants to play again. When I interviewed him on the LCS desk, he's like, I'm interested in playing again. I don't want to coach anymore. So it's like you got all these ticking time bombs of people of either their ego or their health or things like that. And I'm excited to see how that shakes up.
There is something similar with these 2 players is that they're not in the position to say, I don't want to play for this team, right? So these are the players that will most likely fill in these slots that are going to be the second or third options for these slots. So I hope they can stay around. Dardak's looking for teams in European League as well. So that could be exciting to see.
As far as jungle too, the rumors of Inspired coming over, getting signed. The rumor is for EG.
Wait, that would free up Svenskeren and then
Svenskeren and contracts, I think, are both good options for teams to pick from too.
I'm so bummed though that they would replace Svenskeren and contracts for Inspired. Don't get me wrong, Inspired is good, but like
Those
contracts and Svenskeren have done great this year. Like even though you saw them splitting time, which I think is ridiculous, I think you can do a 6-man roster if the playstyle of the person replacing that person is entirely different. As an example, say you're playing top lane, you got some dude that can only play tanks. Sure, send them against like a top laner like Alfire so you don't get destroyed too hard. But you play against a weaker top laner and you play like a split pusher, Fiora or Camille, send them in against a weaker team, fine. But usually when you see these roster swaps, they play the same champions, they play the same play style, and I'm, from the outside point of view, can't see the difference.
So I spoke to Peter Dunn, or I saw a podcast or something, but he went into why they chose contracts over Svenskeren during playoffs, why the selection was happening, and I think in this thing, he said, we're not going to keep both. We're definitely going to get rid of either the jungle or the mid lane pool. And if they're bringing in Inspired, it's because they want a synergy with Jizuke. And he specifically said he didn't feel like the synergy with contracts or Svenskeren was there with Jizuke. So they want a different synergy with jungle and mid. And this, to me, just looks like EG is all in on the Jizuke train, and they're giving him the jungler that they think works with him.
I've heard that they've been looking at other mid lane options as well. So I think they might be.
They're considering like mid jungle.
Yeah, they might be rotating that as well. I will say too, for Inspired, he won MVP in LEC.
He did.
And that's not their fan vote. The rest of the votes are fan votes, so those ones are a little washy, but that one is, yeah.
Well, see, you guys were kind of talking more the jungle. I have one pick in mind that I actually want to save because I want to ask you this question really quick because I want to see what undervalued players you guys have in mind. And I'll answer this one first just because it's on a topic with you guys talking about jungle, and mine's Armeo. Actually, look, you were talking about getting someone for a 6-man roster, and I think Armeo is a really good choice for that. He has a style, more of the tank kind of jungle player, but he's really consistent when he plays those. And if you have someone who's more aggressive as your starting jungler, like someone like Contracts or Svenskeren, he'd be a good backup so you can switch styles depending on how you're going into your opponents.
I find that Armeo might not be suited for the teams that have the upper echelons of players right now. I saw too many mistakes with Team Liquid that were too large for that kind of roster. On the bottom team, competing with Broxah, Dardoch for these spots, I think absolutely is fine. On the same topic of these teams, I think Afro. This guy is free agent right now, has been taking a few rookie AD carries under his wing, makes them look really good. So here it comes again. You want to try a new AD carry? Pair him with Afro, a veteran that will be respected and has a shot-calling voice. I think he's a good support to build a roster around, to go middle of the pack, make it to playoffs, see how far you can go.
What about you two? You got any undervalued picks or players that you want to shout out?
Undervalued is always hard because then you have the hipsters that are like, no, I already valued this player, That's why I like looking at the academy options that we mentioned earlier. But I think they're pretty appropriately valued right now.
Right. I do want to say, I've never seen a Sejuani get a pentakill until I saw Armeo do that. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he got a pentakill in a match recently, actually, like in the past month or two. He's like level 9 or something like that, or like level 10. It's just like... I don't know. I just wanted to shout out that really quick.
Well, that's why he's kind of someone that I've been kind of keeping my eyes on. He started off like at the beginning of the year where I'm like, he's okay. But by the end of it, he looked a lot stronger than I've ever seen him in his career. And I feel like he's grown just a lot over 2021.
He might have grown like that, but the perception that a lot of teams do have is very like, look at the stats, look at the game. So I once, all right, I've seen him play for a few years, never heard of bam, next. Like this is kind of the way you look a player for your team. So then you see a jungler that has won a title in the LAC, like what, MVP? Yeah, this guy's got to be win the Worlds. Yep, sign me right here.
All right, well.
Oh, I got one actually.
Oh, what do you got for me?
I actually really like Prismal. He's an AD carry for, what team is it right now? Is he still on 100 Thieves?
I think
Golden Guardians.
I think he's a phenomenal. Thank you.
I got
it. AD carry that deserves a shot.
The phenom.
Especially like when there's so many rosters that are going to pick up these star AD carry like Hansama and stuff like that. Are you really going to be able to get like this world-class AD carry, or do you want like a fledgling star that's going to be there in half a year or a year? Give him someone like an Afromu, and I could see this guy popping up.
Already, I don't have much faith for a Prismal Afro lane against Hansama Core JJ.
Okay, well, what lane do you have faith
I think
for
it's a good lane.
That, right?
I think it's a good lane.
At that point, you just have to you lose that lane. That's fine, but you're playing for the future.
Yeah. Also, as long as you're not losing by too much, you're keeping at least consistent. That's better than just giving up everything.
Yeah, it's always interesting, suggesting some of the like academy play. Like you could also say like Jojo Pyun and be like, oh, but he's got so much hype around him, from the EG side as well. There's even possibility that he gets promoted. So maybe that's still an answer as far as underappreciated.
We did what we could.
Yeah.
All right, Scuba Gang, let's have some fun. What are your dream scenarios for a fantasy league team?
All right, I'll start us off.
Okay.
All right, here's my pitch. In the top lane, we have the superstar started himself, Fudge. Now, in the beginning of this year,
Okay, I'm with you.
he was at the honestly, he was in the dumpster as far as skill goes. I didn't think he was very good. But throughout the year, he became basically the MVP top laner, started dominating everyone, has turned so many games around and carried them. So he's shown to me that he is been able to improve and take criticism, because I imagine people flamed him on his team.
Good international performances
Right.
too.
And he has performed internationally, like you said, and domestically in NA. So we compare him with Flabber, since they have shown that they have good synergy there. He's super young.
Got it.
He's an amazing player.
He's gonna
Sometimes
make
he
Cloud9.
sometimes he ints, but that's needed for a jungler. Junglers have to int to be the best junglers in the world. Like you see Cannon, he definitely inted, but people still say he's the best jungler in the world. So you got Cloud9 top lane in jungle. You add in Bjergsen into the mix. You got this super veteran mid laner that has constantly one lane previously. Hopefully he does it again. So he has good shot calling because he coached as well, right? So he knows how to play the game. So you got these two super like mechanically young players to go with this guy. You pair him up with FBI and Core JJ. So you have a world star champion support that is also an amazing shot caller. So you have two very smart minds that know how to play the game to go together, that are mechanically talented. And then you have these three superstar gods to do their bidding. They're all 5 NA. So I'm super big fan of that already. 5 NA, I'm sold. And they're amazing.
I'm going Bin from the top lane. I'm bringing it back. We didn't get to see Bin this year. I loved watching Bin play. Massive carry top laner performance. I'm always going to remember that GP barrel explosion.
That's what I'm thinking about right now. You said Bin, I'm like,
yeah, you're like,
gang
oh
playing.
yeah, barrels. I'm also going to keep Blabber.
Okay.
My theme is I'm going to have a lot of very aggressive players.
Yes.
I like
So Bin Blabber, because he's performed so well in North America, and I really feel like he's got a very long career ahead of him. For mid lane, I want to get another North American resident, your boy Bjergsen. In the mid lane, Team Liquid's also going to have to foot my bill because it's going to be and then for a bottom lane, I'm going to pair Core JJ, just because Core JJ, I think, is the single most important player to build a North American team around.
Yes.
Because of his work ethic, because of his in-game leadership, and his support play. And I pair him with world champion Viper.
Oh.
All
EDG
right.
Viper. These are some stacked rosters. So your theme was aggressiveness, right?
On the top half, for sure, yeah.
Top half. All right. I got a roster. It's got a theme. It's the Boomer theme.
Oh.
All right.
All right.
Top lane. We're going Impact. Oldest, most winning top laner we have in the LCS. Jungle. Who's the oldest, most possibly available for jungle?
Bring back Xmithy.
Nah.
Bring back Xmithy. You're going to go real Boomer.
Why I don't bring back Xmithy.
Is he still trying to
I've
play?
played with him in my games.
Okay.
I've played with him in my games. We'll pass until we see a new champion.
You just did, our boy.
Listen, he's still
Xmithy.
playing.
I'm telling.
Listen, he's still playing.
think you're better than Crumbz at the jungle. Don't worry.
He's still playing. I'm not
He's
even
playing Lost Ark. I know because I was playing Lost
There you
Ark with
go.
him.
Right, he's not-
I'm
it's
telling
Off
you.
season, right? Oh, come on,
If
guys.
he's good, then if he's good, he can come back. His spot is open between him and Sven Skaren.
Okay.
In the mid lane, whoever is older, Bjergsen or Jensen. You guys took Bjergsen already, so I feel like it has to be Jensen here.
Okay.
Are they really that big of boomers if like we're
Yeah,
all
yeah.
better than them?
No.
I'm feeling
It's
really
for the
old now.
league. And then your bot lane, Rush Hour. Bring it back.
Oh, I like
For a
that. I like
double.
that.
Come on, you got to have these two guys
I
back.
like that.
All right.
Look at the veteran status. Impact, Sven, Orca Smithy, Jensen, Double Lift, then Afro. Whew.
I like it. Approved.
You know, I also like it because I think you're the
Good content.
only one not to go with Bjergsen like they still did.
I
He
also
said Bjergsen though between
Yeah.
him.
You said, yeah, but he had at least another backup besides just going Bjergsen. I don't have Bjergsen on mine. I'll already spoil that, but I'm going to save that for the very last. So we'll start off with my top lane. I got to go with Jenkins. Got to go with my boy. But one, I think that he actually has a lot that he still can prove that he can do amazing stuff in the LCS if given the chance. Plus, cheap. I'm going to have to save money in some lanes because you'll see two of my picks that are going to cost a lot of money that even TL might have to put a pretty big amount into. So we go bot lane first. And I'm going to get Boostio. I'm going to actually bring him up from 100x. I think his shot calling has been amazing. And I'm going to pair that with Ray, another Scouting Grounds player, who I think has been doing an amazing job in that and can be just like Danny, skipping over the academy, go straight to the LCS and do great. But now here's my jungle and mid lane. So jungle, we'll go with Bo from FPX. If you all don't remember Bo, he was
mid Doinby.
No, it's not Doinby.
He got suspended for match fixing.
Yes, but that was in the LDL, and we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how he was a maniac when he played and was absolutely god tier, and was great when he was on FPX, and it was sad to see, the whole.
I guess ethics and morals do not matter to you.
He started with the most wholesome team. And he's like, I'm going to promote all these North American.
This is how I reel you in. I
believe in the next generation. And then he's like, you know what? And we're going to get the players
corrupt the youth.
Have been kicked out of the league.
This is how I reeled you in, though. This is how I got your attention to begin with. And then mid lane, we're getting Knight. We're going to bring over Knight. You already see why. It's like, and plus I have Bo. Make it so that they can at least communicate pretty easily with each other. My team wins.
I'm going to toss a wrench into your plan here. Those two guys are going to see the rest of their team in and just rage quit midway through the season.
I feel like you guys had pretty good teams, but mine's going to win.
I feel like Crumbz would be a fan favorite at the very least. I don't think it's the best team, but it's a fan favorite.
It's definitely a fan favorite.
I'm taking all the views. Viewership for my games is going to be double the one.
It's like a Echo Fox Academy Part 2 when they brought back Dyrus and Shifter. That team was super popular.
Delta
Yeah,
Fox.
Delta Fox.
Yeah.
That was like a fan favorite team. They got hella fans from that. They might not have been the best team there, but they won people's hearts. And sometimes that's a win in people's books, right?
You know what? Yeah, I'm changing my team. I'm only gonna make one substitution, but I think it'll have a big impact. I'll put Tyler 1 in as my mid laner.
Good Aurelia. It's a good idea.
The streamer idea really got me. That got me sold.
All right.
You said any player.
So I don't think Tyler 1 is bad though.
No, he's great. He's actually really good.
And I could switch him to any
Here's
lane.
the thing though. He at least plays solo queue better than most pros. Legit.
No, he's legit a good player.
I mean, your eyes are like widening here, but you don't think four roles in Challenger, that's an impressive repertoire.
Hear me out,
of
okay?
League of Legends.
Number one, it's Challenger, right? It's not number 1 Challenger. It's not top 10 Challenger.
Yeah.
Has he gotten it before? I don't actually know. Has he hit rank 1?
He's only missing support.
No, rank 1, not Challenger.
rank
Has he hit rank 1?
I don't know.
There's a large difference between 1,700 LP and the cutoff of
I'm
1,000 LP,
assuming he did when he was on AD carry.
I think we did.
Yeah, he did it once on AD carry, right? So don't get me wrong, he's a talented solo queue player, but then you have to bring in one. Solo queue is very, very different from team play, right?
Yeah.
True.
Have you ever played with a guy? I played on a team with him.
See, you.
I'm not saying he's toxic per se, but I would not say he's a friendly teammate at all times. No one is, right?
Yeah.
So there is the issue of the potential that he can have attitude problems down the line. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's a potential, right?
Yeah.
I think you're looking a little bit.
The cons, but the pro list is so large.
The views you're gonna get too. You're gonna be the fan favorite
I'm sold because you would sell so much merchandise.
Right.
The
You're gonna make up all that money.
would be insane. The amount of money that you have to pay him would probably not be the amount of money.
I'm going to have this, promotional measures where there's some type of thing where the fans vote on which role I put him in the lineup on that week.
So he gets support every.
and there's a big.
This is how we gamify an LCS.
How do we talk to CLG and make him do this? That would bring CLG out from this hell.
Here's the thing, though.
From the trash can to being a fan favorite.
I think
buy him out.
They would
He's on T1 right now.
They would literally have to give Tyler the team.
Yeah.
As payment.
That might be a sacrifice they have to take to become a fan favorite back in the LCS.
All right. Well, if you want to be an armchair GM, you can go to the factor.gg machine and you can put in your eligible rosters. It will make you choose a team and then show you all the players that are available, which ones that are still going to be contracted. And that's the one thing. These fine gentlemen might have had fun teams, but only mine was actually eligible because if I chose 100 Thieves, Busio still contracted. The other 4 are going to be free agents. So Haha. Who has the last laugh?
Get Tyler 1 in there. Make that an option.
Add him to
What would
the
you put him in the
database.
PowerPoints? He's got to be number 1, right? Just because of
The power ranking? Yeah.
he hit challenge everywhere, right? Just
Except higher number is better on the power ranking.
Yeah.
So I think a 1 is not.
You know what? I think now it's a good time to kind of move over into team talk and try to move it forward and talk about how we think actual legitimate roster moves are going to impact these teams. Who's going to be the team that improves the most? Who's going to be the most aggressive? Who's going to be one of the biggest winners?
I mean, we're going off rumors right
Yes,
now.
we have nothing confirmed.
Everything is
what's
rumors.
happening.
Let's be clear.
He always
TL
wins.
always
He
goes
always
out
wins.
and gets out ahead on this one. But
I mean, they didn't win the last split, so how can they always win?
But it
They
feels
literally
like they
didn't place
win
for
in the off season.
win the offseason.
Right, it
And
feels
then
like
C9
they always get something good.
So, in a similar vein, where at the beginning of the show when we were doing the quiz, and I was like, "There's no way, CLG can be the biggest loser because they're already at the bottom." I feel like they have to be the biggest winner. Because they are so far at the bottom. It was so bad last year, and they are burning everything down. They're replacing management and coaching staff and a bunch of players. So since we're guessing right now on a lot of rumors and nothing's confirmed, I'll go with CLG.
We did also hear, though, that some of those troubles did come from parent company not necessarily working as well as they could with the main company, so they may not have the budget to.
True,
do it
but
all
they
out.
did make changes at the top with Great Kim, and so I feel like there's just so much room to grow.
Yeah.
You got to get some.
That's the positive.
Imagine being Greg and going up to his boss and he's like, "Yo, we got destroyed the last 2 years. I need a bigger budget, and we haven't done anything well. We haven't performed. We haven't done well socially. We haven't grown. We need a bigger budget to fix it." It's a hard sell, like you can't.
Okay, who's gonna improve more?
I mean, I'm with you on CLG, honestly. I kind of think that CLG has...
Well,
then again, when you start at the bottom, you've got infinite amount of growth to go.
Because that's the thing, that we understood the drop. We knew that 8th to 10th was worse of a drop than 2nd to 8th, which means
I still don't believe that.
Which means 10th to 8th CLG is bigger.
I'm not sold. I still think going from finals to 8th place is...
Well, because there seems to be a cap of how good your stats can be. There's no cap at how bad they can be.
Right. I was about to say...
There's got to be some limit of how bad your stats can be, right?
I mean,
Well, it's not as,
you could, what was the one team that went didn't get a single win, like unwinnable back in the day?
The Coast. I think it was
Team Coast was like
0-18.
117. No, it was one like something like that. I think.
We've never had a win.
Team Velocity. Velocity Esports. That's what one of them was.
I think just
back
one.
in the day.
I'm sure they won a game. They had.
No, they won one game. They won a single game, and it was like back when they actually had a lot of games in a split. I know we've had over in the LPL.
Super weeks. Woo, I remember those.
I love those.
Yeah.
They're kind of fun, actually.
Yeah, I did like it.
They sucked at the time, but they're kind of fun.
I enjoyed them the
It was
whole
more fun
year.
for me than probably for you.
Just play all the games.
Yeah, it's a
That's
good time.
fine. They're like, yeah, just don't prep C9. You know you're going to lose. Prep against Curse. You're fine.
All right. What team are you most excited to see fill their roster? So yeah, I feel like TL is like a strong contender for like number one because of the dominant.
You know what? My question actually, because I have so many questions on which way Evil Genius is going to go, they can either go with all the young talent, Jojo Pyun, keeping Danny and trying to build off of that and really embrace, the North America, build talent, that type of thing. Exactly. Or because they have a lot of money also, and every offseason I hear about, they've got all this money they want to spend and they haven't really done the big one yet. They could try and snatch up all of these extra players like Jensen still floating around. Everybody that has big buyouts right now and wants to be on a top team. So there's kind of two paths I feel like ahead of EG. So that's what I'm most excited to see which one they take.
They were a really exciting team last year. So I do think that they could be someone that is going to double down on that kind of roster building to deliver these explosive games. Well, when it comes to filling out the whole roster, I'm still looking at CLG because no other team is a blank canvas. Like,
True.
You want nothing of what CLG did last year. So they are essentially showing us what a new org would do into the LCS. New management, new staff, new players. Let's see what their perception of the LCS is right now and what they can do, because it can really educate us a lot on what CLG thinks the landscape looks like from the way they built this roster.
Interesting.
I'd be curious to see what FlyQuest does this year. They did do a lot of roster swaps this year, bringing their academy team up, like Triple and all the other members that are slipping in my mind at the moment. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. But I'd love to see what they do because I feel like when they subbed in their team, they had a really good showing. Yes, they kind of didn't win before, but they came in, they 2-0'd the first week, and they continued to perform. So I'm excited to see what they do, see if they keep Jose Diodo around. Obviously, they did a huge marketing push to like push towards their Spanish fans, do Spanish broadcasting, and they've been doing a lot to rebrand their organization, but I want to see their actual players perform and like build a strong team as well.
All right, let's move on to another question. What team would you guys want to be the GM of?
Team Liquid.
Team Liquid.
Because we're rich and we can buy whoever we want. Easy answer.
Yeah, they just point. Yeah, we'll have.
I mean, I can't argue with that. I mean,
it's an easy answer.
Yeah.
It's an easy answer.
Okay, only one of you gets to be TL. Rock, paper,
You yelled it first.
All right, Crumbz, you got to choose a different one.
GM. So the thing is, I want money. I want a lot of money for my team.
Okay.
And I want help from multiple assets that the team has. And honestly, I feel like EG does have a lot of that. We got Factor as a way to have a statistics way. They have a player like Impact that's already a really strong piece to build.
All right, what road would you go down then? Would you go down the new player growth, or are you going to use all the extra money that you have and buy the imports?
A little bit of both. So I'll keep Contracts and Danny. So I'll keep these two as my young players. I did like Ignar and I did like Impact. I'm not so sure about the mid lane, but more than anything,
the mid lane is such a big one though, because that's JoJo
the mid lane for me is I need to talk to the players. I need to know exactly what the teammates felt about it. If they were okay with it, then I'm okay with it. If they felt like, oh, maybe we could make some changes, then we switch it up. But Impact, Contracts, Danny, have these guys talk it out, see what you want for support and a mid, and I think they'd be pretty happy with that.
Okay.
I would choose 100 Thieves definitely because one, I don't think they have that big of a history where they've done something wrong to their players. You name Team Liquid, you name EG, they have some history of doing wrong to their players. I know that there's that stint with the AD carry, Cody's son during Worlds where they benched him. However, I don't have insight on that, why that happened.
Your boy Meteos also has some gripes, I think.
All right. There are some issues that have happened, right? But every organization has a little bit of gripes that some player has had, right? Whether they're justified or not, I don't know. But outside of that, if you're 100 Thieves, you're pretty much the most popular esport organization in the moment in almost all spectrums, right? So their ability to bring in a player is extremely high because players care about their career after pro player, right? Not everyone can be a pro player forever, and 100 Thieves can help set them up to have a career afterwards because of how popular they are. If they make use of the 100 Thieves brand and brand themselves well, they can become extremely popular so their careers after. Meaning that it's easy for them to sign players even if they don't have money, but they do have money because they sell the most hoodies out of any organization, right?
And if they can do a music video with Lil Nas, then everything is possible.
They have so many cool collabs. They're continually growing. I think being on 100 Thieves would be super sick for any player that wants to play pro. So they can get plenty of players, and they already have a solid foundation of players that they can work with, right? They already have FBI, they already have Hui, they have Closer. Do they even need to change the roster at this point? Technically, no. Could they? Yes. Can they get whoever they want?
Very capacity, you got good capacity too.
They have so many options of what they can do, and their branding is already solid, and so many players want to join them. I feel like the job of a GM there, no offense to Papa Smithy, it seems nice. He can post. He can chill. Whereas you're on CLG, you're like Greg Kim at the moment trying to find a manager. You're just like, shit, there's fire all around me. I have to find a GM. I have to find a coach who wants to actually play for my organization.
You gotta
who's proud to be a part of my organization.
Brain control them to
They have to be happy to represent my organization. It's going to be hard to find people for that CLG. But 100 Thieves, so many people will be proud to be a part of them.
Yeah, that's why I'm just going with FlyQuest. Charity. Easy.
Yeah, but I do think people would rather be a part of this
probably. But I just got charity.
Yeah.
That's why I got going. I got BQuest, I just like that angle. I love how FlyQuest is kind of rebranded to have a lot of the charity
this
stuff.
is a little off on that, but when I talked to FlyQuest about their tree quest, I was very specific about where are these trees being planted, what kind of tree is being planted. None of them are here in the States.
That doesn't have to be.
Are they in North America?
Tree getting planted.
No, they're not in North America.
Tree getting planted. Tree getting planted. Who cares?
I know a tree's getting planted, but I'm just here being me, and I just think like,
He's more of BQuest than I am.
It'd be nice if I see a tree planted outside the LCS studio, outside the FlyQuest arena, like our local area, support.
But they have to dig up the current trees there then to plant a new tree.
There's a lot of places that don't have anything. I feel like you could plant more stuff locally. That's all I'm saying. I'd like to see more trees in Los Angeles.
Well, I have that.
You hear that, Trisha? Crumbz wants more trees than
I told her.
FlyQuest.
LCS tree. When?
I believe in you, Trisha, to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Easy.
I told her. I told her right there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's move forward. Let's go to a simple one to kind of round things out. What team do you think is going to be the biggest surprise going into 2022?
I think CLG is going to be a surprise
that's why I said
either
team
way.
one. I think it's
Well, it's counter logic, right? You can never expect
So,
what they're going to do.
either they're
yeah.
going to be the greatest team or they're going to stay at the bottom, and it will still be a surprise regardless.
Surprise, yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at.
Someone's going to make a decision that's very questionable for sure. One
Like
of these
my team that I made.
Yeah, I don't think the top teams are going to make questionable decisions. I think middle tier teams will be like, "What are you doing? You haven't thought of this."
What about TSM?
We haven't heard
Because
much.
Yeah,
they also had that thing where, didn't Reggie say something about wanting to invest in new talent and not spend as much or something like that?
I think there's the
Or spend it just in different places?
Well, they
maybe?
definitely got burned spending some money on Sword Art, right? Like they
Yeah.
wrote this huge
Sword Art is
check.
already gone.
I think it's going back to the LPL.
It got set on fire. They're like, shit, we got to bring back we got to switch things up. So they're definitely gonna do. I think I heard that.
Yeah,
rumor,
I'm just
too.
curious because also PoE is, he had the early tweet where he was like, yo,
Right, he's a free agent. You know?
yeah,
I
I'm
saw
a free agent. And then Bjergsen is out. And Spica for sure re-signed.
Yeah, he's still with them.
Or his contract is still.
He's been memeing about being a free
So-
agent.
yeah.
He's not actually, from what I could tell from his tweets. It's just something like, "Yo, I'm not looking for a team or anything like that. I just wanted to say I'm still on the team. Please retweet. Thanks, appreciate it." So he's been memeing. I think he's still on TSM.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious what happens there. It might be surprising.
And normally there's so many rumors around them, and the fact that they've been so quiet should be telling that there's something wrong.
You got a point. You got a point there. That's
It's hard because we're doing this show so early that
Well,
everything is rumors right now.
like
and
everything is going to come out.
and you don't want to say many of them because it might influence.
But they've been getting
things for
bad
players.
PR though, like, on TSM side. The double lift Reggie arguments, like this has not helped TSM.
Man, who cares about that, man? If you're a player, out of the teams they could pick on LCS, TSM is definitely in the top 5 of teams you want to join, like
True.
to create a legacy off of or to create a career off of. Like you want to join TSM. You don't not want to join TSM, you know?
All right, gentlemen. Do you have any final thoughts? We've been here for a while, so why don't we start wrapping this up? What do you got for me?
I just hope that all the players that want to play get an offer. That's all I want for the free agency.
Well, that's not going to happen because there's more than 50
Yeah.
players that want to play, right?
Or maybe someone to retire.
Expand the league for
There we go.
Get them all in there.
Get them all in.
Yeah, just let everyone have a team.
Yeah, it's crazy because there's so many things that are not visible to the public with buyouts and contracts, and some players don't like other players.
Mhm.
Some players don't like coaches specifically. Won't work with this person unless you fire that person. I hope that there are. Well, maybe I don't actually. Maybe we don't want leaks or anything behind the scenes.
True.
I just want us to have strong representatives for Worlds next year because North America is hosting Worlds next year. So I just really want to have a good showing. That's what I want out of this offseason.
What defines a good showing for you? Top 8? 7?
I want I want at least semifinals.
Top 4.
I want finals, but
Do we have to bust out the hopium then? Just good.
Bro, we've been on Hopium for 8+ years,
Yeah,
man.
exactly. That's like-
I was on Hopium.
Did
when
you
I was
ever
like
put it
saying-
away? You never put it away.
It's always there.
I'm starting to run low though. That's the only problem.
You can never run out.
Yeah.
But I'm just hoping that we see like a lot of moves. Like I want to see a lot of rookie players. I want to see a lot more players from the amateur circuit, from the academy circuit, work their way up to the LCS. Well, I am with you guys on like some imports are fine, especially because you look at players like Jensen, like Bjergsen, like Core JJ, how much they've done for LCS and the growth. They've really invested in the scene. But I would also like to see rookie players get a chance too.
That reminds me, one thing I enjoyed last year that I hope to see this year is the transparency that the teams had behind their decisions, where they said, we try to go for the best players. We didn't have the budget, so now we went with this, and this is why we have this team. These are our expectations. I appreciated that instead of having a budget team and telling me you're trying to go win the LCS and win Worlds.
Right. I personally do not care too much who or what team signs what player. I want to see them put a lot more emphasis on creating good practice schedules, good environment, making sure that the academy matters, making sure that these players are playing solo queue, that they're taking it seriously. I want NA solo queue to not be a meme. Like, Yes, a lot of us have to play on 60 plus ping. Yes, that sucks. That is one problem that we have, but there's plenty of other problems. But I want people to take this seriously. I don't want it to just be like a streamer infested, one trick infested region, which I don't necessarily think it is, but it doesn't help when everyone believes that it is. Like, make NA solo queue something to be proud of. Make it so that if you hit rank 1, people care about that. Make it so if you hit rank 10, it's something important, you know? Nowadays, people don't really care about who hit ranks. When I care about that, when we played, it's something super important. It's something hard to do. I want them to make everything that's outside of being the pro matter more, because that will make us be better at international. Make everything at the bottom, raise it up, and that'll raise our ceiling too.
Serious competition on the North American ladder, I think, will go a very long way.
Right. It just makes it so much fun too, right? Like, please turn off all chat if you guys are playing a solo queue. I don't care if Riot does it, because I know there's an option that allows you to turn it off. For everyone that cares super heavily to not turn it off, you guys are probably the ones flaming, but
mute all.
Do whatever you want.
Mute all, that's what
but just
I do.
if you're trying to climb, mute chat and just play the game, you know?
I would say what's more dangerous is your own team.
Right.
Chat.
So just mute your team too. I'm fine with that. Just play the game. Stop flaming your teammates. Stop flaming your enemy. Just play the dang game. Focus on getting better and just climb. You know, like,
I like it.
I just want people to play the game and stop typing, man. So many games are just gone because people type, and it's just play the game.
Yeah, you know, sometimes they say, well, what if you miss out on an important call? Somebody said for you to do. If you actually know the game well enough, you can infer that should have been a call that should have been made, and you could have learned how to read that, especially if you're doing something like jungle. You shouldn't be listening to people calling out what's happening on the map. So mute all does make you better. It's hard mode, but also more rewarding.
Right, like in pro play, there's only so many people that can be talking at once, or comms get confused. You want calls to be as simple as possible. You say dragon spawning in a minute, you want people to know how to set up for that. You don't want to be like, hey, support, reset to get wards. Hey, we have to pink here, we have to ward here. Hey, top lane, you have to get your top lane push, get ready for TP, etc. You just want to make a simple call, and they should know what to do following that. So are comms needed? Yes, but keep it as simple as possible. So mute chat, guys, to climb.
I like that rant. That was a good monologue there.
Yeah. Well, free agency is about to begin.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're going to get a lot of spice, so a lot remains to be seen.
Hot take. Modern fashion is skins for real life.
Hot take. Twisted Tree Lines was the superior map.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks to Coinbase for sponsoring our show. We can't wait to see what happens with free agency, Factor.gg, and all your favorite League of Legends players and teams. Have a wonderful night.